Hello, how's everybody doing? My name is Ja'Cory D. Cheney. I am a cybersecurity student at Grand Canyon University, currently taking class CYB 515 Enterprise Security Infrastructure Design. In this PowerPoint presentation, I will explain the 8 security failures while also relating the security failures to the cybersecurity principles. I will also describe specific design principles that have been disrupted. Additionally, I would recommend the design principles needed for remote workers while also providing attention-grabbing visual aid within this presentation. Due to COVID-19 and other cost-efficient reasons, remote working has become more prominent. Due to the increase in integration of remote cybersecurity work, security policies are often adjusted to accommodate remote workers. Cybersecurity professionals must ensure policies and principles are relevant to the organization. Security failures, assumptions. Security failures are vulnerabilities or system breaches that occur as a result of underestimation of security and design principles. Assumptions is related to smaller organizations believing that they are not a big enough company to be a victim of system breaches. It is important for organizations, no matter the size, to have an understanding that their business is susceptible to attacks. Small organizations should protect themselves from cyber threat actors in the same manner that large businesses safeguard their confidential information. Assumptions security failures aligns with the confidentiality cybersecurity principle. Security failures convenience. Convenience as it relates to security failures are associated with operators being inconvenienced by acts that provide protection to the organization's network system. It can be very inconvenient to have a password with a minimum of 10 characters, special characters, uppercase and lowercase letters. It may also be troublesome to change this password every 6 months and to continue to update hardware and software. Operators must not allow their inconvenience to follow security rules to compromise the security organization. This security failure relates to integrity of the cybersecurity principle because this failure relies on the operator to make conscious and trustworthy decisions to keep the system secure regardless of the difficulty. Security failures and inadequate technology asset. Remote workers have access to other unsecured devices that they may feel can assist with their convenience and productivity. Although remote operators may view utilizing personal devices for the workplace as beneficial, it can be compromising to an organization's security. Due to operators connecting their personal devices to the network, the overall system can be breached if operators do not follow standard operating procedures. It can be difficult to accurately inventory these personal devices to ensure patches, updates, and encryptions are applied. Inadequate technology asset can be associated to availability as it relates to the cybersecurity principles. Security failures, lack of periodic upgrades and patches. Upgrades and security patches should be installed periodically when a vulnerability is observed. However, applying, testing, and enabling patches can take months to complete with operators working from home on their personal devices. This can be challenging. It is difficult to be able to control remote workers' personal devices to ensure the application of patches and upgrades, thus leaving the system vulnerable. This is a huge failure because the longer the vulnerability is left unpatched, the more the system is susceptible to attacks. Lack of periodic upgrades and patches is associated with availability as it relates to the cybersecurity principles. Security fail, lack of consistency and monitoring infrastructure. Operators must continue to monitor the system for the innovative means that cyber threat actors use in the attempt to breach systems. Cyber threat actors constantly change and develop sophisticated methods to demoralize security systems. If operators fail to conduct proactive cybersecurity strategies such as threat detection log management, vulnerability scanning, the implication of patches, upgrades, and physical surveillance, and infrastructure can be at risk of cyber attacks. Lack of consistency in monitoring infrastructure is associated with the confidentiality as it relates to the CIA triad. Security failures, improper training, and employee unawareness. Organizations must ensure that employees are provided sufficient training and continue this training through a proactive thought process to prevent system breaches caused by the unintentional spread of information. If employees within the organization are not properly trained, it is possible for them to unintentionally spread unauthorized information through social engineering attacks. Security failures, lack of business continuity plan. Cyber threat actors are constantly evolving and creating new ways to gain access to confidential information. At this point in technology, organizations must understand that it is likely that they will experience a system breach. The most important measure that should be conducted when encountering a system breach is business continuity. Organizations must have a plan designed to quickly repair the system and patch any vulnerabilities with the intentions of minimizing profit loss and continuing normal business operations. Having a successful business plan can be the difference between a business being successful after a cyber attack or the organization going bankrupt. CIA Triad. Confidentiality is related to the prevented disclosure of unauthorized information. Integrity suggests that unauthorized methods cannot be used to modify data. Availability suggests that authorized users should have authorized information immediately available to them. Violated design principles, separation of domain duties, and encapsulation. Employee unawareness security failure violates separation of domains and duties design principle because it correlates to improperly trained employees mismanaging duties. Separation of duties suggests that no operator should be given enough permissions to misuse the power for self-gratification. Inadequate technology asset violation relates to encapsulation. Encapsulation is a security design principle that suggests systems can only access the data object of a network, which can only be invoked from a domain entry point. Violated design principles. Minimization of implementation, least common mechanism. Minimization of implementation relates to lack of consistency in monitoring infrastructure violations. Minimization of implementation is a design principle that suggests that it must be a minimum of general functioning to allocate between users. Violated design principles. Least privilege, complete mediation. Complete mediation relates to the assumption security failure. Complete mediation is a design principle that suggests that the access of the system must be tested through the access control mechanism. Lack of monitoring violates the least privilege design principle. Least privilege suggests that a user should only be delegated enough responsibility to complete their selected task. Remote workers. Least astonishment, psychological acceptability, least privilege, separation of domains and duties. Remote workers need separation of domains and duties. Having this principle design provides a limited and measured amount of permissions to prevent mismanagement. Remote workers are not being monitored, so their assigned privilege should be restricted to prevent the misuse of power. Remote workers should also have least privilege as a design principle to prevent the spread of malware and limit access to their specific job function. Additionally, remote workers have access to multiple distractions. By implementing least astonishment design principle, remote workers can have a user interface that would not be overwhelming. Remote workers, minimization of implementation, least common mechanism, simplicity of design, economy of mechanism, encapsulation. Remote workers need minimization of implementation. This will allow remote workers to have minimum general functioning to distribute between users. Simplicity of design is also needed in remote workers. This design principle suggests that security measures within hardware and software should be simplistic and modest. Additionally, encapsulation is very important among remote workers. Encapsulation states protected systems can only access the data object of a network from a domain entry point. This can assist administrators with monitoring remote workers on their personal equipment. Remote workers, work-related concerns, task deadlines, proper collaboration and partnership, constant security awareness. Administrators must continue to correspond with remote workers to ensure task deadlines are complete, to dispute any work-related concerns, to coordinate proper team building and work collaboration, to be readily available for employee assistance and questions, and to maintain consistent security awareness. These are a list of references that were used to assist with the creation of this PowerPoint. Thank you for your time.